Unfortunately, demand for cars is much lower than we had planned for, and our operations teams overbuilt for those levels. A leadership decision has been made to address the imbalance by reducing the size of our operations teams. Our door will be open in the future as we start growing and rehire again.
What you saw right there was the Zoom call that a lot of employees had to watch at Carvana as they were finding out they were getting let go. Now, if you don't know what Carvana is, which you probably do by now, but it's the company that has big car vending machines. You go drop this ridiculously oversized coin into a slot and it brings your car down and pushes it out for you. And they're disrupting the car buying experience or something like that. Anyways, they laid off 12% of their company a couple days ago, which translates to about 2,500 people. Why is that, you must be wondering? Well, for the same reasons that a lot of startups do these random layoffs all of a sudden. Better.com, they over-leveraged, they overhired, something in the market happens, and then they have to fire people. If we look at that company called Toast, the little payment processor thing for food or whatever, they overhired, over-leveraged, and then had to fire a bunch of people. And what we're seeing here is just another example of a company claiming, we're growing crazy fast, wow, look at us, and then going, wait, we grew too fast. Hold on, back up. Now we got to fire all these people. If a company comes to you saying that they're having crazy accelerated growth, I see that as a red flag, not as a positive. It could be a positive, but
we're growing like crazy
until one of these things happens. So CEO sent out a giant email to the entire company explaining all this stuff. I actually have a copy of that email. Let me pull that up for you. It starts off going, hey everyone, we find ourselves in a difficult moment. It isn't the first time we've faced challenges and it won't be the last. And essentially, this is just a bunch of fluff buttering you up to get to why they're doing it. So the TLDR, as I have defined, is, as a result, we find ourselves out of balance. Our team is bigger than we need, and we can't be certain growth will rebound quickly enough to bring us back into balance. So what does this mean? Today, we're reducing the size of our team by about 12%. That's 2,500 people. 2,500 people who we've been proud to call teammates, who made our mission their mission, and who have fought beside us. Now, let's pause right here. You'll notice how when you're working at a company, they'll call you family. You'll notice how you are applying to a company. They'll say, yeah, come join the family. Before and while you're at a company, it's all about family this, family that. But when things aren't looking good, when people got to go, you are now teammates. This is a blog from Carvana itself here talking about how they're all family. At Carvana, a strong sense of community and family is as much a part of our DNA than anything else. It's kind of funny because this was posted April 29th. But over here in the CEO's layoff email, they're just proud to call you teammates. You're not family anymore. The CEO goes on to say, next, I want to share the important details for what this means for you in terms of severance. They say, we will be providing everyone with 4 weeks of pay plus 1 week for every year you have been with us. Now, I'm not quite so sure how they're dealing with the WARN Act, which is the Worker Adjustment and Retraining Notification Act. It basically says if you have over 100 workers and a majority of them haven't been there for less than 6 months or work on average 20 hours or less, you have to give your employees 60-day notice if you're doing a layoff of 50 or more people in one place. And that kind of seems like what's happening at Carvana. It doesn't seem like they got a 60 days calendar notice that they were going to get let go. And if you don't do that as a company, you have to pay your workers something instead. So it kind of sounds like they're doing this out of the goodness of their heart, but I imagine they're just following the minimum guidelines of whatever the WARN Act is requiring them to legally do. The next thing I'd like to point at here is plus 1 week for every year you have been with us. Now, this is interesting. I've never seen company loyalty rewarded when people get fired. You'd think company loyalty happens while you're working at the company, being loyal to the company. But at Carvana, they are literally rewarding you with extra severance for every year you've been loyal to them. So Carvana was founded in 2012, I believe, which means the company is 10 years old. So at maximum, you could get 14 weeks of extra pay in terms of severance. Now, 14 weeks sounds like a lot, but if you just break that apart, it's 3.5 months. But 3.5 months of free money sounds pretty good, but I highly doubt anyone who's been working there for 10 years is on this list of people getting let go. And if they are, I mean, they get 3.5 months of severance, which I'm pretty sure that's like the bare minimum package you get if you just work at Netflix. Like, I don't know. It seems kind of like we're doing this out of the goodness of our heart, but like you're doing this part because the law requires it, and then you're rewarding corporate loyalty as you're firing them. It's really weird. They're doing a few other things. We'll be providing extended health care for everyone for 3 months. That's kind of nice. You will also get the benefit of your Carvana shares and all shares associated with the 1 million car milestone gift. I don't know what that is. Through our People Ops team, we're going to offer support and resources, including resume review, LinkedIn help, and tips to identify your next step in your career. What did I identified this as useless fluff. Yeah, this bottom one always gets me. And finally, our door will be open for rehire once we start growing again. And maybe there's people that will want to come back, but also it's kind of awkward that you kind of are growing right now. Work at Carvana, be part of the team disrupting the car buying status quo. I have to say real quick, all these companies talk about disrupting the status quo, but all you end up doing is just disrupting a bunch of families' lives because you overhire and overleverage. Okay, I've said my piece. Now, let's go to the open positions here. Let's see what they got. 825 open positions at Carvana. Now, they're not all operational positions. I understand that, but why couldn't you move some of these people that you're firing into some of these positions or train them up or do any of that stuff? Lastly, he wants to thank you. Thank you for bringing your talents to Carvana, for choosing to care every day. You've made us better. It's like reading Vishal's email. The market has shifted. It's out of our control, blah, blah, blah. But don't worry. Things are looking up. And then they did 2 more layoffs after that. That's how I read this. So if you work at Carvana still, if you're one of the lucky few that got left there, I'd start looking. The economy and the automotive industry dealt us a tough hand, and the remainder of the fault lies within the executive team. More than anyone, it lies with me. Once again, we have executives making a bunch of decisions behind closed doors that affect thousands and thousands of people and their families. And that's just how it goes when you work for someone. To counter that, you always have applications out and you always have your eyes looking out for better opportunities. Let's come down a little bit more, and he further solidifies what I just said. For some of us, through no fault of your own, it means moving forward to write the next chapter in your own career. That's right. Through no fault of your own. For all of us, it means picking ourselves up and writing a new chapter. For all of us, you're an executive at your company. You just get up and go to work the next day. What new chapter are you talking about? You still got billions of dollars, and so does your father. Ernest Garcia II also has billions of dollars because he sold a bunch of his stock in 2020 over the course of 10 months when it was at an all-time high for about $3.5 billion. We'll go into all that stuff, into the fun facts later in this video. But now I also have to mention that the same day Carvana laid off 2,500 people, they made a purchase of $2.2 billion to acquire an entire another car auction company. Now, I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that. It definitely feels awkward, though, and it's definitely a PR blunder. Maybe they needed to buy this to truly stay in business, and it just so happened to coincide with the 2,500 people being let go, but the timing, oof, it's just so bad. So this is a form called an 8K that the executives of Carvana have to submit to the Security and Exchange Commission of the United States, and they're talking about the severance pay down here. All impacted team members will receive 4 weeks of pay, but then they go on to say the executive team is foregoing their salaries for the remainder of the year to help contribute to the severance pay for departing team members. I have to say, I can kind of see the marketing advantage of this. A bunch of people are going to be like, but Josh, they gave up their own salaries so that they could pay the severance. Well, I mean, first of all, the only reason they're giving severance is because they're required to by law, because they said F the WARN Act, which says we have to give notice. So, I mean, there's that part of it too. But let me break down the numbers for you, and you can really see what this looks like. The first thing we need to look at here is the executive team is foregoing their salaries for the remainder of the year. There are currently 233 days left in the year, so they're giving up around 64% of their salary. That means they've already made 36% of their salary. So what does that look like for a CEO? This page shows how much the executives get paid, their total compensation, and this light blue bar you see here is their salary. So if we come down to the CEO, Ernest Garcia III, and we look at his salary, he gets paid $757,500 a year salary, but his total compensation, stock options, all that other stuff, brings him up to about $5 million a year in total compensation. He's giving up 64% of this $757,000 roughly, which means he has already made $275,000 this year so far. And that's not to mention he's, still getting all these other things in total compensation bonuses. And we can look at the rest of them too, right? This guy, $742,000, he's giving up 64%. So this guy's, at least made $250K so far this year. So, I mean, these people have already made tons of money this year, but it surely looks good when you tell the SEC, we're giving up the remainder of our salary to do this. So is it a nice thing to do, or is it just because they have to, and this is how they're financing it, since they can't sell their stock because it's not worth anything? Let me show you. August 13th, 2021, the stock was valued at $361 almost, and then today we're down here at $36. That is quite the loss in value. So my opinion on it is that this is a very well-crafted way to tell the media and show the media and the people who are going to report on this look at how selfless our executives are, even though they ignored the WARN Act. Unless all of those employees were working there less than 6 months and worked there for less than 20 hours. Like, I highly doubt that happened. So, I mean, I don't know what's going on with the WARN Act, but it seems kind of weird. Kind of weird, Carvana. Let's move on to some of these LinkedIn posts because you're going to find, I mean, we do this every time, but here's a post from someone who got let go. I am so deeply saddened that I have to say this, but unfortunately I was one of the 2,500 employees laid off from Carvana this morning. This was very unexpected and I'm absolutely devastated, right? And then it goes to, I 100% love my time with Carvana and my incredible team who has become my family, but I'm looking forward to the new opportunities in the future. The CEO doesn't even consider you family. He considers you a peer, a colleague. Now this one, aged absolutely like milk. Brand new facility, awesome team, amazing company culture. You don't want to miss the opportunity to apply and interview for your future dream job. This is 1 month ago. Today, 5/10/2022, I was one of the 2,500 let go from Carvana. This company has been my family since my first day on October 9th, 2017. That's 4 years, 7 months, and 1 day. So your company threw you out when you were almost 5 years old. Is this what families do? Why are you calling them family still, my guy? With this company, I was able to grow from a level 1 associate to a production manager. I was allowed to travel and launch new facilities. I was allowed? You mean like that was your job? They sent you to launch new facilities? What do you mean you were allowed? What kind of mindset is this? All right, now let me show you some posts from the recruiters coming out of the woodwork. I know I've made a lot of skits recently about recruiters, but this is why I make those skits. This is someone who didn't get fired from Carvana. Today, I can say I'm grateful to be able to go to work. Right? For many at Carvana, this is not the case. This person, this recruiter says, hey, Carvana family, I'm so sorry to hear about the downsizing with Carvana. I'm a recruiter, blah, blah, blah. Hit me up. I need to make a commission. Look, I know that you don't seem to be laid off, but perhaps some of your coworkers might have just gotten laid off, so hit me up. Here I am. Hey, I'm sorry to hear about the downsizing with Carvana. Let's do it again. Hey, Kara, I'm so sorry to hear about the downsizing. It sounds kind of personal at first, but then we scroll down again. Joshua, I'm so sorry to hear about the downsizing with Carvana. This just screams desperation. People who aren't even associated with Carvana that mention Carvana once, you'll see a bunch of recruiters. Hey, you know anyone that worked there though? As perhaps some of your former coworkers who got fired may be looking for a new opportunity. Like, what the fuck is this? This is where I just can't stand a self-promotion. Oh, you can like, you know, they looking for a job or something. Can you point them my way? And the dude's just like, I don't work there. I just read the news about Carvana. And they're like, yeah, but like, okay, if that's true, do you know anyone else that is currently unemployed? Like, yesterday was difficult being impacted by the layoffs. Joven, I'm so sorry to hear about the downsizing with Carvana. I'm a recruiter with Noel HR in Omaha. It's like, are you really sorry to hear about the downsizing? Really? Or are you just copying and pasting the same message to everyone, hoping to make a little bit of commission? Feels really cringe. Now let's move on to some fun facts about Carvana, the Carvana executives, the board, the chair, all that fun stuff you guys like to know. Apparently, on the board of Carvana, they have Dan Quayle. If you don't know who Dan Quayle is, you're probably like me, because, I mean, he was vice president of the United States while I was born, pretty much, from 1989 to 1993. And now he's on the board of Carvana. I'm not saying they can't do that. It's just I thought it was interesting that we got a vice president working at Carvana. So the CEO of Carvana is Ernest Garcia III. But the CEO of Drive Time, which is where Carvana came from, is Ernest Garcia II, the CEO's dad. So Ernest Garcia II, he was 33 at the time, admitted that he fraudulently obtained a $30 million line of credit in a series of transactions that also helped Lincoln hide its ownership in a risky desert Arizona land from regulators. This happened back in 1990, October 31st. And then he bought a company called Ugly Duckling, and then he turned that into Drive Time. And then from this company called Drive Time, they developed Carvana, and then Ernest Garcia II made his son, Ernest Garcia III, CEO of Carvana. Carvana, father and son duo, down $25 billion. This is from Bloomberg. If we come down here, we can see the elder Garcia, the dad, was a prolific seller of stock during the pandemic as Carvana shares soared. Starting in late 2020, he sold shares almost every day for about 10 months, disposing of more than $3.5 billion, or more than a fifth of his stake, as Carvana shares reached a high of $376, and then the stock closed Thursday at $48. But this was like May 6th, I think, when this article came out of this year, 2022. Now, I'm not saying if you get convicted of something or you go to jail, you can't come out and then like reform and, you know, become a good business person and do all these things. Again, I just said these are fun facts to learn about the company. I mean, do the people that work at Carvana know? You guys do what you want with that information, but I'll include all the links below. But anyways, guys, that's all I got for today's video. I know I could have just come on here and been like, oh, 2,500 people got fired, company's bad, self-employed good. But that's not what we're trying to do anymore. We're trying to dive a little deeper. So if you can appreciate the efforts of my research and, you know, showing you these things that I guess most pages don't really talk about, then hit that like button, hit the subscribe button. I'm calling out corporate all day pretty much. But seriously, if you guys enjoyed it, got a laugh out of it or whatever, you know, leave a comment. Let me know what you think, and I'll see you guys in the next one.